All right, we are going to start at the 19th Sutra. And let's get started. The divisions of the gunas, or qualities of matter, are fourfold: the specific, the non-specific, the indicated, and the untouchable. And those those gunas are again Sattva, Raja, Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic qualities. And we've talked about those quite in depth in the previous sutras. So, and then we have, it is interesting to note here that the gunas, or qualities, the sum total of the attributes or aspects of the substance of our solar system, are fourfold. In this septenary division, we have an analogy to the septenates found throughout our manifested universe. First, we have the major three aspects of thought substance. And we've got the sattvic substance, which is rhythm, equilibrium, and harmony, right? Rajasic substance, mobility and activity, and tamasic substance, inertia and stability. And I'm glad we're going through these because we need to hear these things many times for them to really synthesize for us, or to get assimilated. So the more we hear this, the better. And then we've got these three are divided into the specific, manifested elements or form, the unspecific, the senses, force reactions, and the 10 mantras, the indicated, primary substance, the tattvas, or atomic matter, and the untouchable, and the great existence, who is the sum total of all of these. This sutra is intended to cover the technicalities of the form aspect of manifestation, whether referring to the manifestation of a human atom or of a solar deity, and simply indicates the natural triplicity of substance, its septenary nature, and its various mutations. It expresses the nature of that aspect of divine life, which is called Brahma by the Hindu and the Holy Spirit by the Christian. We're really tying these things together. This is great. You know, I don't know what, you know, what anybody's backgrounds are, but I spent time studying, you know, the Eastern stuff. And when we're able to tie in these aspects here, like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and bring them in over onto the chart, that greatly aids in the assimilation of these things. This is the third aspect of the Trimurti, or Trinity, the aspect of active, intelligent matter, out of which the body of Vishnu, or of the cosmic Christ, is to be built. In order that Shiva, the Father, or the Spirit, may have a medium of revelation. It might therefore be of use in the nature of the four divisions of the three gunas. It might therefore be of use if the nature of the four divisions of the three gunas were indicated after having after having given the synonyms for these gunas. All right, now I would suggest, trying to correlate these at some point, spending a little bit of time in understanding that we really are talking about, we're all talking about the same things essentially, and they were all being discussed in different ways at different times, different places, and it's, these things are being brought together now. We're synthesizing these things. It's what theosophy, it's what, they call it the synthesis of science, religion, and philosophy. But we are synthesizing these things, and we can fit this stuff. We could fit it in over here on this chart. Here you have activity, here we have wisdom, and then we have will here. So very important stuff. The three gunas, it might therefore be of use if the nature of the four divisions of the three gunas were indicated after giving the synonyms for these gunas. The three gunas, the qualities of matter, one, the two, the aspects of thinking substance or of the universal mind, three, the attributes of force matter, and four, the three potencies. These triplicities should be carefully studied, as it is through them that consciousness in its various degrees becomes possible. And I think we can see that, right? I think we can definitely see as we're reading along here, that it stands out, and it's accurate. We are here dealing with the great illusion of forms with which the real man identifies himself to his sorrow and pain throughout the long cycle of manifestation, and from which he must eventually be liberated. A still vaster thought is also involved, the imprisoning of the life of a solar logos in the form of a solar system. Its evolutionary development through the medium of that form, and the eventual perfection and release of that life from the form at the conclusion of a great solar cycle. The lesser cycle of man is involved in the greater, and his attainment and the nature of his liberation is only relative to the greater whole. The specific division of the gunas. One, the specific division of the gunas. This specific or particularized division of the gunas is divided into 16 parts, which deal primarily with man's reaction to the tangible objective world. We have the 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. These are the directly involved effects of the unspecific or subjective sound or word. Key there is effects. It's a noun when it has an E on it, right? I know this because I have to look these things up. All right, so it's always something that's coming up, whether it's effects or effects. A is a verb, E is a noun. This is nouns. Unspecific, they are directly involved effects of the unspecific or subjective sound or word. It's a result. Then we have the 5 sense organs: the ear, the skin, the eye, the tongue, and the nostrils, those physical organs or channels through which identification with the tangible world becomes possible. you know, and I don't know, I'm thinking as I read this, like, I'm thinking of the nervous system and how the nervous system works, essentially, right? And how it has become much more advanced as we progress. So then we have C, the 5 organs of action: voice, hands, feet, the excretory organs, and the organs of generation. So these are so we have the 5 sense organs, and then we have the 5 organs of action. And it's, hold on a second, I want to look something up. Sure. If you have a medical background, you can attach these to, we can look at this from a bigger perspective, from an even larger perspective, and identify the systems these belong to. And I would say, probably behind this is we have the endocrine system, but I'm not a medical guy. I don't know. So then we have D, the mind. This is the 6th sense, the organ which synthesizes all the other sense organs, and eventually will make their use a thing of the past. Because why? Why is this? Why can the 6th sense, the organ which synthesizes all the other sense organs, and eventually, how can it eventually make their use a thing of the past? It's just because this is all mental, right? And as as there's subtler, energies are incorporated, I guess, then we can, think this will become more subtle and mental, more and more mental. And we're looking, it's very interesting. I don't know what to say. These 16 means of perception and the activity in the phenomenal world are channels for the real thinking man. They demonstrate his active reality and are the sum total of the physical facts relating to every incarnated son of God. Similarly, in their cosmic connotation, they are the sum total of the facts demonstrating the reality of a cosmic incarnation. The word is made flesh both individually and in a cosmic sense. The unspecific division of the gunas goes, these are 6 in number and concern that which lies back of the specific. They deal with that which is subjective and intangible, and with the force display which produces the specific forms. So we're just stepping back a little bit. We're not talking about the effect. We're talking about the force that's creating that effect. Technically, these are called, in the Hindu books, the 10 mantras. They have to do with consciousness more than form, and are special modifications of buddhi or consciousness. And this is the Buddhic plane here. They are, 1, the element of hearing. This is etheric. Now we know hearing is etheric, or that which produces the ear, the rudiment of hearing. The element of touch, or that which produces the mechanism of touch. Oh, wow. I did not see that coming. The rudiment of touch. Now we have the element of sight, that which produces the eye, the element of taste, or that which produces the mechanism of taste, and the element of smell, or that which produces the mechanism of smell. I don't know why we wouldn't have seen this, of course, right? Of course, it all stems from behind and moving forward. Now, this is huge to know. Because of this, we have this. And it's always going into less subtle or more subtle areas in order to understand the form. So it's kind of a deconstruction that we're going through here, or we're reverse engineering this. How exciting is that? Back of these 5 lies the 610 mantra, or modification of the consciousness principle, the feeling of personality, as it has been called, the I am I consciousness, the ahamkara principle. It is this which produces the sense of personal reality and of one's being a separated unit of consciousness. It is the basis of the great heresy of separateness and the cause of the real or spiritual man being lured into the great illusion. It is this which forces man for long aeons to identify himself with the things of the senses, and it is this, too, which eventually brings him to the position where he seeks liberation. Now, it's not something to be, like shake our finger at. This is important, because this is leading from one at-one-ment to helping bring it, from one at-one-ment to the next, in a sense. And it's something that has been there for aeons, in the low-level awareness that has been. It's like something that is seemingly built, like a mechanism built for, for use up to us to, the next point. Like it was beneficial to have some context as things progressed, some continuity. It allowed for a bit of continuity, even if it was some sort of illusion, right? Not even if it was, but even if it was in the great illusion, it was still allowing there to be some continuity, so we wouldn't be insane, right? So things would be held together in a sense. That's kind of how I'm seeing that. And it's kind of the dweller. And then it's like the dweller on the threshold, that has to be let go, in a sense, or integrated. It has to kind of give itself into the integration process, maybe. All right, so now we're going, so we did the specific, the unspecific, or not, I would say non-specific for us today, the indicated, okay. Back of the 16 specialized divisions and back of the 6 unspecialized lies that which is the cause of them all. Okay, very good. Which is called in the Hindu books Buddhi, or pure reason. The intellect apart from the lower mind, sometimes called intuition, whose nature is love wisdom. Now, very interesting, in perfect sense. You're talking about the Buddhic plane. Here's the Buddhic permanent atom on the fourth plane from the top or bottom. Now, if we follow this up, it's taking us right to love wisdom. This also being love, the second aspect of love wisdom, intuition. Okay. This is the Christ life or principle, which in the process of taking incarnation or form as we know it, manifests forth as the specific and the unspecific. It is as yet for the majority only indicated. We surmise it is there. We surmise it is there. Okay. Then you're looking at the specific and the unspecific and the indicated. The work of Raja Yoga is to bring forth into full knowledge this vague surmise, so that theory becomes fact, and that which is latent and believed to exist may be recognized and known for what it is. And how do we do that? By doing exactly what we're doing right now, by studying and by being quiet and meditation, spiritual reading, and being quiet and allowing these processes to come through here. And we would learn this once we hit these levels. Certainly, we would. This is when, at some point, these things would really be understood, right? And then we have the untouchable. Finally, we come to the fourth division of the gunas or aspects, that in which we live and move and have our being. I was going to say that. I'm glad that that's there, because that makes perfect sense. The untouchable or unknown God. This is the great form of existence in which our little forms are found. This is the sum total of the thinking substance of which our little minds are part. This is the whole manifestation of God through the medium of the cosmic Christ, of which each little son of God is a part of. This untouchable and unknown, the mind of man cannot as yet conceive. And if we look at this, this is all, there's something that's always really present here. All right, we're coming from the physical up through the emotional and more the astral plane, into the mental, and then we're moving higher and higher into the spiritual, and that's really what we're looking at here. We started down, and this is important, because you could say we're moving in from the outside in. Sometimes we're going from the inside out. We're working both ways. We're inducing and deducing. And this is helping us synthesize these things, and not just synthesize it. So once we have the knowledge of it, we can make it our own. Right? And we're invoking this understanding. And can you imagine what it would mean to understand this at this level, or to pull this together in that way? This is amazing. All right, so let's keep going. We're going to go on to the Sutra 20, or the 20th Sutra. I like it. Said both ways there. The seer is pure knowledge or gnosis. Though pure, he looks upon the presented idea through the medium of the mind. Reference has already been made to the excellent translation of this sutra as given by Johnston, which runs as follows. The seer is pure vision. Though pure, he looks out through the vesture of the mind. Ganganatha Janganatha throws still further light upon it in the words, the spectator is absolute sentience, and though pure, still beholds intellected ideas. The thought conveyed is that the true man, the spectator, perceiver, or thinker, is the sum total of all perception, be it through the avenues of the senses or of the lower mind. He is in himself knowledge, clear vision, or true perception. All that exists in the three worlds exists because of him, because of and for him. He is the cause of its being, and when he no longer seeks it or endeavors to vision it, for him it exists not. The sutra is one of the key verses in the book. This sutra is one of the key verses in the book and gives the clue to the entire science of yoga. Certain thoughts lie hid in its formulation, which cover the whole ground of this science, and students would do well to give much attention to this. It has a mantric effect, and if stated as an affirmation and used constantly by the aspirant, will eventually demonstrate to him the truth of the statement that as a man thinketh, so he is. I am pure knowledge. Though pure, I look upon presented ideas through the medium of the mind. We have here, one, the seer, or the one who looks on and considers from his divine standpoint this world of effects, this great Maya of illusion. Two, the presented idea, the thought conveyed here that every form which passes before the spectator in the great panorama of life in the three worlds is a presented idea, and that these presented ideas are therefore embodied thoughts of some kind and must be regarded as such. All right, let's do this. All right, so we have the seer, the one who looks on and considers this world of effects, this great Maya of illusion. And then we have the presented idea. The thought conveyed here is that every form which passes before the spectator, the seer, in the great panorama of life in the three worlds is a presented idea, and that these presented ideas are therefore embodied thoughts of some kind and must be regarded as such. The task of the occultist is to work with the force which lies back of every form, and not so much with the form which is but the effect of some cause. Okay, I'm going to read it again. The task of the occultist is to work with the force which lies back of every form, and not so much with the form which is but the effect, right? We know that, of some cause. All right, so we got it. We're not looking at the form so much anymore. We're looking at the reason, the cause for it. And this is that reason or cause. This method of endeavor can only be developed gradually. The spectator passes gradually from the forms, and their true significance is his own immediate environment, and in his own tiny world, passes gradually from the forms and their true significance in his own immediate environment and in his own tiny world, through the various forms of the world process until the world of causes stands revealed to him, and the world of effects assumes a secondary position. He perceives first the forms in the three worlds. Gradually, then he becomes aware of that which caused them and of the type of force which brought them into being. All right, so let's say he perceives first the forms in the three worlds. Gradually, then he becomes aware of that which caused them and of the type of force which brought them into being. And we generally, we look at force, these forces, force, and we're more looking at, I want to say, the rays now on our side, or there's also the three fires: fire by friction, solar fire, and electric fire. And then we've got the one differentiated 7 rays, 7 planes, the planets. So we're looking at this energy, this type of force which brought them into being. And then we're looking at it through these aspects as well. So we're really coming at this from, like every different angle at this point. I mean, we're hitting every different perspective. And we're working backwards again, right? We're inducing, we're deducing, we're reverse engineering, we're re-engineering, we're recreating, we're doing all of it. And it's amazing. We're tracing them progressively onward or back to their originating source. He comes into touch with the great lives, which are the cause of manifestation. He thus passes out of the realm of objectivity, out of the mental, emotional, and physical worlds into the realm of the soul, or of the subjective cause of this triple manifestation. Triple manifestation, if we come over here, we got 5, the mental, astral, and physical planes. We got fire, water, and bread. And then up here, we've got the soul, planes of the soul. We got the spiritual triad, and we've got more pure reason, significance. There's knowing here. There's the intuition. This is where we're trying to get to. This is real life more abundantly, if we say it like that, I suppose. In this world of ideas, and therefore pure knowledge, pure reason, and divine mind. Later, at a very advanced stage, he touches the one life which synthesizes the many lives, the one purpose which blends the many ideas into one homogeneous plan. Or homogeneous, I guess you could say it either way. And we're talking there about this is our Father in heaven, if you will, the triplicity here. This is the monadic plane. And then you have the one, or one. It's the first and one, undifferentiated. And then, as these things break up, you can see, as we're differentiated, these energies are used. And what we're doing, down here on the physical plane is we're using our mind and trying to work our way up and down this, figuring out what all this means. So there's that. All right, so let's go. All right, so we had the seer, the presented idea, and now we have and we're moving into the mind. This is the instrument which the seer employs in order to perceive presented ideas or thought forms. For purposes of clarification, it might be noted that the presented ideas fall into 5 groups of thought forms. The tangible objective forms in the physical world of every day. With these, the seer has for long identified himself in the earlier and more savage stages of human existence. A, the tangible objective forms in the physical world. All right. We're talking about the physical plane stuff. That's what the seer has for long identified himself, basically at one with the body at that point, right? And then with B, we have the moods, feelings, desires, which all have form in the astral world, the world of emotions. All right, this is the playground of the gods. This is where anything can be anything. This is where people can believe whatever they want and call that their truth. And this is your truth and my truth. And they can be different. And I'm going to live mine and you do you. And we are not yet touching into the mental plane where things are actually more real, where there is 2 + 2 = 4. No matter how you try to break it apart, it's still going to equal 4. Right. So down here, things can be all weird. We can build, destroy, break things down, build new things, test things out, see how this works. This is experimenting. This is all of that. Experience, experiment, express, all. And then we have the thought forms and their myriad distinctions, which crowd the mental world. So now we're coming back up and we're moving up into the mental plane here. And we're talking about the thought forms. And generally, AKA symbols and meaning. And through these presented ideas, the seer achieves knowledge of the not self. We're learning about this place down here. And then we have the thought forms, which he can create himself after he has learned to control his instrument, the mind, and can discriminate between the illusory world of present ideas and those realities which constitute the world of spirit. So the seer, right, the perceiver, the seer is can create builds these thought forms, and he can create the thought forms which he can create himself. And he has learned to control his instrument, the mind, and can discriminate between the illusory world of present ideas and those realities which constitute the world of spirit. Through this process, he arrives at a knowledge of himself. Throughout the great experience of knowing the not self and knowing himself, he uses the mind as his medium of search, of explanation, and of interpretation for the senses, and all his channels of contact telegraph constant information and reactions to the mind via the lower instrument of the brain. Oh, excuse me. We're always doing this in the morning. So having reached this stage, the seer is then able to use the mind in a reverse manner. Instead of turning his attention to the not self or the illusory world of effects, and instead of studying his own lower nature, he can now, owing to the mental control achieved, arrive at the fifth stage, which is E, the ideas presented by the world of spiritual life, the realm of spiritual knowledge, and the kingdom of God in the truest sense. Thank goodness. Through this, the seer arrives at a knowledge of God as he is and comes to an understanding of the nature of spirit. The mind then serves a triple purpose. The mind then serves a triple purpose. A, through it, the seer looks out upon the realm of causes, the spiritual realm. B, by its means, the world of causes can be interpreted in terms of the intellect. I say causes. It's coming down and it's coming into the brain, right? And then by using it correctly, the seer can transmit to the physical brain of the lower personal self. It's coming down to us here. That which the soul sees and knows, the reflection in the world of effects of the true man. So we're beginning to understand the meaning of events, the causes of events, the reasons for these things happening. And then as we look out at this, at what we're seeing, we know that this is happening because of the spiritual backdrop, which is creating this essentially. Not essentially, I mean, ultimately. Right? So the seer or spiritual man, the mind, his medium of investigation, or the window through which he looks out, whether upon the world of effects, upon himself, or upon the world of cause, and the brain, which is the receiving plate upon which the seer can impress his pure knowledge, using the mind as an interpreter and transmitting agency. This sentence right here, this little paragraph, this right here is summing up this whole experience down here. It's really amazing. So what we have is all right, the seer is looking out upon the realm of causes, the spiritual realm, okay? By its means, the world of causes can be interpreted in terms of intellect. By using it correctly, the seer can transmit to the physical brain. So this being the soul, it'll be operating in here. So it's sending it down into the physical brain. I guess way down here on the physical plane. So we're using what would be called, the antikarana, I guess, and the bridge. We're receiving information all the way down here on the physical plane. From way up and transmitting it to the lower self, that which the soul sees and knows. So this down here is this person, this brain down here is now, illuminated, essentially. And the seer can impress his pure knowledge using the mind as an interpreter. So it's just making its way down. And let's go straight on to the 21st Sutra here that says all that is exists for all that is. See, this is why I have to read this a couple times. Sorry. All that is exists for the sake of the soul, which is in this spiritual triad, or in this fourth intuitional Buddhic plane. I would be lying if I said I do believe this is all that. This is the soul. This is the right here. You've got this, and this is where the soul sits in these regions. There's a lot. This is a whole new world kind of a thing here. This is the kingdom of the soul, kingdom of the souls. Man in his arrogance should not take this sutra to mean that all that is created exists for him. The sense is much wider than this. The soul referred to is that of the supreme being, of which the soul of man is but an infinitesimal part. Man's tiny world, his small environment and contacts exist for the sake of the experience they bring him and the final liberation they bring about. He is the cause of their manifestation, and they are the result of his own thought power. But around him and through him is to be found that greater whole of which he is a part. And the entire vast universe, planetary and solar, exists for the sake of the vaster life, in whose body he is but an atom. The whole world of forms is the result of the thought activity of some life. The whole universe of matter is the field for the experience of some existence. Let's keep going here. The 22nd Sutra. In the case of the man who has achieved yoga or union, the objective universe has ceased to be. Yet it exists still for those who are not yet free. This sutra holds the germ of the entire science of thought. Its premise is based upon the realization that all that we behold are modifications of thought substance, that the thinker creates his own world, whether he be God or man. When a man, through the science of yoga, the science which deals with the suppression of the activities of the thinking principle, or with mind control, has achieved full power over the mind and over mental substance or thought matter, he is freed from the control of those forms which hold the majority of men captive in the three worlds. All right. I got to go back a little bit and read this again. This sutra holds the germ of the entire science of thought. Its premise is based upon the realization that all that we behold are modifications of thought substance, that the thinker creates his own world, whether he be God or man. When a man through the science of yoga has achieved full power over the mind and over the mental substance or thought matter, he is freed from the control of those forms which hold the majority of men captive in the three worlds. He stands then apart from the great illusion. The bodies which have hitherto held him no longer do so. The great currents of ideas and thoughts and desires which have their origin through the modifications of the thinking principle of men imprisoned in the three worlds no longer sway or affect him. And the myriad thought forms, which are the result of these currents in the mental, astral, and physical worlds, no longer shut him away from the realities or from the true subjective world of causes and of force emanations. And of course, we have to understand that these things exist and have this foundation prior to, otherwise it would look like a pretty insane event, in my estimation. As I'm reading this, like, imagine not having this knowledge. He is no longer deceived and can discriminate between the real and the unreal, between the true and the false, and between the life of the spirit and the world of phenomena. He becomes subject then to the currents of thought and the world of ideas emanating from great spiritual entities, from spiritual lives, and the great plan of the architect of the universe can unroll itself before him. He is liberated and free and subject only to the new conditions of the life of the man who has made the great at-one-ment. The laws of the three worlds are not superseded, but are transcended. For the greater always includes the lesser, and though for purposes of service he may choose to limit himself to a seemingly three-dimensional life, yet he goes forth into the world of higher dimensions at his pleasure and when needed for the extension of the kingdom of God. And that is what we are doing here when we're studying this ageless wisdom. And we are essentially learning to do this. We are in training, right? I'm asking. No, this is what you want to hear. This is the point where all these things really start clicking for us. They should really start clicking after all these books we've been reading now. As we come through these and leading up to this, and I'm sure we've all read much before this that assimilates with it as well. All right, so the object of this science of yoga is to reveal to man the mode of this liberation and how he can free himself. Hence, the trend of Patanjali's teaching up to this point has been to indicate man's place in the scheme, to put his finger upon the basic cause of man's restlessness and urge towards activity of one kind or another, to show the reason for the existence of the great world of effects, and to tempt the aspirant to an investigation of the world of causes, and so to demonstrate the need for further unfoldment and the nature of the hindrances to that unfoldment, that the man will be ready to say, if this is all so, what are the means whereby this union with the real and this dispersal of the great illusion may be brought about? The second book presents the 8 great means of yoga, giving thus a clear and concise outline of the exact steps to be followed for the needed regulation of the physical, psychic, and mental life. I think we're going to stop there for today. That was intense. It's a great morning study. And we absorbed some very deep stuff. We kind of came, we went, we went in, we went out, we went up and down. What more could we ask for? This brought us to the heights and back down and around. So let's leave it there. Have a great day, and we will get back start the 23rd Sutra tomorrow. All right. Have a great day.